everybody. Welcome to Four Records. I'm Forrest.
And I'm Karina
This week we speak with Andrew Pescara
from
from.
Gottlieb.
This was a pretty good episode. I had a good time on this. How about you, Karina?
Oh, we had so much fun. We spoke about Crass. We spoke about Crass. I, I got introduced to a new band. I feel like our podcast listeners have been wondering if I ever got introduced to a band I've never heard of before. Finally, this episode happened. So
I'm
yeah.
I'm just the old man that's like, hey, this is the new band that I like, and I 100% did as well. Same band as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, here is Andrew's Four Records. New record, The Far Fallen Fruits. Can you
hmm
tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, The Far Fallen Fruit is our debut album. It's an anarcho-punk record. It's inspired by a lot of sort of anarcho-punk classic kind of stuff like Crass, Discharge, but it's sort of our love letter sonically to punk rock as a whole. We go through a bunch of different sounds. But the message of the record is basically that millennials and Gen Z are the far fallen fruit. We are the fruit that fell from the tree very far, in that our life expectancy is lower than our parents. Our workers' rights are being taken every day. We're not going to be able to buy a house. We're facing um, the disenfranchisement that comes from the excess that our parents' generation was able to enjoy. That's the meaning of the record. And it just so happens to be corresponding with, you know, late stage empire stuff that's happening in the US. It just so happens to be relevant, which is horrifying.
Every once in a while, I get the records for these, for what you guys are promoting, and I can hear the influence on all of these, all
Mhm.
the records that you chose on the record itself. It felt a little bit more relevant to a lot of these records. Still feel relevant, with
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
with what your record's about and with what they were talking on their records.
Sure.
When you selected these, though, what was your thought process in selecting these records?
I just went with what was the most important record at that time, whether it's aged well for me or not. What was the most important record for me at the time?
Okay.
And like what had the biggest impact on my viewpoint as an
Okay.
artist?
Awesome. Awesome. This first one that you chose from 0 to 10 was Ozzy Osbourne's Black Rain.
Yeah, yeah. So Black Rain by Ozzy Osbourne is not Ozzy Osbourne's best work. It's
Hmm.
like there's some cool stuff on there. It's got I Don't Want to Stop and Not Going Away and all that. But it was
Yeah.
the first album I ever bought for myself. I went to the store and I bought that CD when I was like 10 or something like that.
When you bought it, was that your first time listening to it, or had you heard anything off of it before?
No, I saw a picture of Ozzy Osbourne on the album, and in the cover, he's covered in black rain. And I was like,
Hmm.
I know that name. I know the name Ozzy Osbourne. Like, it feels like I shouldn't buy it. Therefore, I'm going to use my only $8 and buy it. Like, formative moment for sure.
Despite that, I mean, it seemed a lot more political than some of the other stuff I've
hmm
heard from him in general. I mean, and he's hitting on a lot of things. He's hitting on a lot of environmental stuff on this album
Sure.
with even with the song Black Rain.
Yeah, I think it really made an impression on me when I was younger because, I'd heard Black Sabbath, obviously, but I don't think I had a point of reference for like War Pigs.
Yeah.
When I was young. I didn't really know how to connect that. Or Iron Man is a little more subtle too. It's about the war machine as well. But with
Yeah.
Black Rain, there's a song on there called The Almighty Dollar, which is just about how our need to accumulate money is detrimental to us. And being 10 years old, I connected with that. God bless the almighty dollar. Just that phrase, and then it formulated my how I think about money and how I think about America. God bless the almighty dollar is a good way to think about America. And he juxtaposes that statement with the sound of wolves howling in the record as a
Yeah.
bridge. And I'm an animal kid. I grew up in the woods and I love animals. And so hearing the wolf as a part of a bridge in that song as like the cost, these are the things that are going to go away. These are things that are going to go extinct, animals and the environment due to our accumulation. It really resonated with me as the animal kid. Like, what are we doing? We got to save the animals, not like,
Yeah.
accumulate cash. It just, at a 10-year-old brain, it just landed, dude. Totally
Yeah.
landed.
Yeah, even Black Rain sounded like a good like extension of War Pigs itself, though. I mean, it just
Mhm.
the on a different scale with it. Like I said, it felt very much like environmentalism, but still, I
For sure.
mean, I think he did a lot of stuff under the radar more than what I mean. Like a lot of, I think like
Yeah.
whatever he supported, it felt like he did like under the radar a lot.
Agreed. Yeah, agreed. I mean, Black Rain, it almost sounds like drone fire as well, like black rain, like bullets falling from the sky. At the time of the Iraq War,
Mhm.
was probably involved with that. Yeah, I just the record, or whether the statement is broad or not, he's being political. And that
Yeah.
political stance was immediately connected to rock with me at 10 years old because of this album. I was never interested in anything but political rock because of this.
Does this record hit you any different today than it did when you were a kid?
Yeah, I mean, like I have the context of like, oh, this is like Ozzy Osbourne at like 60 years old. Like
Hmm.
this isn't like peak Ozzy. And knowing who Ozzy was younger, now obviously like I like early Black Sabbath and things like that. And there's a lot of stinkers on this record too. Like this is not my favorite Ozzy Osbourne record. There's like uh what's that song that on here? It's so bad. It's I think I'm Here for You or something, or Lay
Yeah,
Your
it's
World
the
on
it's the
Me.
kind of the ballady one because when I went back and had to listen to Bark at the Moon and every Ozzy Osbourne album I've heard has that ballad on it.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, whether it's Mama I'm Coming Home or Changes or
Mama, I'm
whatever,
Coming Home is a fucking fantastic song.
It's
Really.
great. Oh yeah.
That is a beautiful ballad, and I want that played at my funeral.
Yeah,
Actually,
it's
no,
so good.
I don't speak to my mom, so no, I don't want it actually.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah. But
yeah,
like
but
you could tell when he's like in this record, he's almost trying to force a couple of ballads that just like Mama, I'm
mm,
Coming Home sounds so lived in and
sincere.
sincere, whereas these ones were like, all right, it just feels like we needed a sad, passionate moment on the record and we put one together. So I look at it as like somewhat like, it's not I like half of the songs, but still,
Yeah.
the other half stuck with me.
I actually, I think the ballads on this album is because he's not the same place. Like, I
Yeah.
think because this is during the period that he got sober, right? For real,
I
wasn't
think
it?
so. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
you could just tell, like, he's removed his addiction and become more aware of his surroundings a lot
Yeah.
more. So
Mhm.
I think you're right, both of you, with him trying to like make newer fans and older fans more aware of the climate. And yeah, just generally, I think this might not be the best one, the best Ozzy album, but I do
Yeah.
think that it has some, what's the word I'm looking for here? It has
Relevant.
some, yeah,
Value. Yeah. I
thank
mean,
you. And value,
yeah.
yeah.
I think when he hits in this album, he hits. I mean, like The
Oh, yeah.
Almighty Dollar is a crazy song that I can't really. I mean, there's new metal, but I don't can't think of new metal songs that groove like that one, let alone have a message like that one. And it's sort of progressive in its structure. It does hit.
Mm.
So your teen record was Cage the Elephant. Thank You, Happy Birthday.
Yeah, yeah. Have you heard it?
Yeah.
I listened to him while I tried to listen to him the week before, so that's why I was like, I got like 50 albums to listen to this
Yeah.
week.
Karina, did you hear it too? Did you like it?
Yeah, I love Cage the Elephant.
Mm.
So it was actually funny because I didn't really remember it the way I think I
Oh.
was supposed to remember it. I think
Hmm.
it's much like much there's more of a DIY element to it because it
Hmm.
sounds so raw and not polished compared to the
Yeah,
other stuff.
sure. Yeah.
And and it has those fun punk elements to it that I feel like they kind of outgrew as they went on. So
Yeah.
it was a really fun listen and just going back in time. But why did you
Yeah,
pick this
that's
one?
well, I picked this one because like, when you're a teenager, you're consuming so many albums. Like it
Mm,
was for me, it was Nevermind the Bollocks, and it was Frank Turner and the Gorillaz and Nirvana. But this one
hmm
stands out because this was Cage the Elephant was my first concert ever. I had never been to a concert. My friend bought me tickets to see the Black Keys at Joe Louis Arena, which is like a big stadium, and the Black Keys were like Chevy commercials and stuff. And so I knew the Black Keys, being a white
Yeah.
kid from the suburbs, but out comes this band to open for them. I'd never even heard of Cage the Elephant. And I was front row, and Cage the Elephant was like the best live performance I've ever seen to this date. Like the front man
Mm,
was psychotic. He was jumping around, moving into the crowd. Like I didn't have the eyes to understand the production value at the time, but he was getting
hmm
around the barricades, getting around the lip syncing, getting around the backing track to try and show that raw moment. And it just like that was the moment in my life where I was like, I need to do this. This is amazing. Like this live performance is incredible. And so I went home and I listened to Thank You, Happy Birthday afterward. They were on the Melophobia tour when I caught them, but Thank You, Happy Birthday connected with me because I couldn't believe that a guy 10 years older than me, someone who was
mm.
my age, was writing
hmm
songs like Indie Kids, which is
Oh
a
yeah.
it's a punk song about not being able to fit in now
hmm
with like Obama era kids, not like Reagan era kids. And like, Sell Yourself. That's not an alt rock song. That's a thrashy punk song.
Oh
And this
yeah.
band is touring arenas. I was like, so this record is just it totally captured me. This band captured me. It still captures me. And I still am trying to be Matt Schultz on stage every time I'm on stage. I'm still trying to be him. And that's my bar. That's who it is.
I love that. That's so funny. But it's also good because it has all those genre blending and like
Hmm. Yeah.
2024 is such an
Hmm.
indie sleaze song. And I can't get
Yeah.
past how they managed to fit that one in the album.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's again, fun album, an amazing
Yeah.
pick.
Thank you. Yeah. And like with our record, with our music, we always are trying to make something we've never made before. And I think that translates to people who've heard the record have told me that each song sort of goes a direction you didn't expect. No song really sounds like any of the other songs. That comes from our ambition, but also from our love of Cage the Elephant, and Ceremony, where they're never trying to write the same song twice. And if you look at the track listing on this, like they're doing
hmm
Rubber Ball, which is a waltz
Mm.
about about this his ball right after like sell yourself. No, it's like so
Yeah.
nuts. So I try to
Mm.
have that freshness with every track.
Yeah, and it does. I mean, like you said, sell yourself. I mean, there's Aberdeen sounded like a Nirvana song to me. I mean, you can
Totally.
hear
Yeah.
Mm.
that one around my head sounded like the Pixies.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah. Uh-huh.
Japanese Buffalo didn't even. I mean, sounded like different than all those too. So,
Hmm.
and
Yeah. My favorite song on the album. Yeah.
I wrote this band off because I was still a stupid punk kid, and when did this
Yeah.
album come out? 2011. I was
Something like that.
still a stupid punk kid as my kids weren't listening to music yet, so I was still just like, well, fuck all this shit. But
Right.
now I'm like, no, is that what you like, guys? All right, but like, Shake Me Down, it doesn't represent that band well at all, and that's the only song I'd heard from them off of
Yeah.
that album, and I'm all like, why would they go with this? This doesn't sound like them.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. I mean, Aberdeen is the best song on the album. Japanese Buffalo is my favorite, I think. But this also taught me a lesson that like there's a difference between playing punk because you don't know how to write music and playing punk because you
Mm,
want. And like there's
yeah.
many punk bands who are just like, I can only write punk because I can't sing and the drummer can only play this and our bassist is the worst guitar player in the band. He doesn't actually want to play bass. And we have a sick riff. And that's why all these punk bands sound the same. Whereas with this band, you get the sense that they can write a radio hit like Shake Me Down or anything else that Cigarette Daydreams, you know?
Mhm.
Um, but they're writing punk because they want to write punk. That's what we try and embrace is we want to make punk. We don't have to make punk. It's a taste, not a default. There's a million bands in LA, and a lot of them all sound the same. And they try and write something that doesn't sound the same, and they can't. And that's fine. You know, I'm not a trained vocalist at all. I can't play anything, you know, but that ambition to write more and associate with musicians who can, you know, and then to pull it punk. They've written a pop song. I'm like, okay, stop. Let's make it a punk song because we like punk, not because we have to.
Yeah, it gave me a different perspective on them to go check out more. Um, my mom actually said that she saw them open for Beck a while back,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
she said they reminded her. And she now, mind you, she saw the Rolling Stones in the '70s, but she said they reminded her of the
Mm.
Rolling Stones.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I heard too, is Mick Jagger. He
Yeah,
definitely gives Jagger for sure. There was this moment recently, y'all, like it was crazy. We played the Echo recently. And someone came up to me after the show and they said, Andrew, have you ever heard of Cage Elephant? And I was like, yeah, I love Cage Elephant. And they go, you remind me of the singer of Cage Elephant. And after
nice.
6 years of playing music, I was like, oh, like that's why. That's the whole reason why. I can quit. I don't care what else happens. I can quit. I did the thing. One person sees the resemblance. That's like,
So your 20s was Crash before 1984?
yes, yeah, that's a best of record.
It's okay. We've had best ofs on here before, but
We love best of.
yeah,
Well,
it
I
was
do. I do.
it's
When we have the best ofs on the podcast, that is when I really get to know a person because
Yeah,
that says a lot. You could pick an album and be like, oh, I like some of these numbers, but then you can pick a best of album. And if it's like Queen or ABBA or something, they'll have different kinds of best of albums. And
yeah,
kind of like Crass, they have different kind of best of albums too, like
yeah,
from different periods and stuff. So I think it's very funny and very interesting because that could be called as degrading my wording there. It isn't, but very interesting to get to know a person via the best of selection. And I love
yeah,
that. That's so cool.
yeah. It's a good record. I picked it because this was the first punk record, not first punk record, but the first Crass
Mm,
record I'd ever heard. Just because Best Before 1984 has I mean, accessible is not the word you use to describe Crass, but it has their more accessible picks in terms of message and what lands. Seeing how anarchistic and how subversive you can be while still being legible was the lesson of this record. It's like Reality Asylum, like that is not an accessible song, but for Crass it is. You know, they have some stuff that you can't even listen to. It's so hard to listen to. But Reality Asylum, the message is so powerfully upfront. That was like, this is mind blowing to me. This is
hmm
another reason. This is what I want us. I want people to feel this way when they hear us.
Yeah, it's been a minute since I've dived into a Crass record, let alone a best of Crass.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
and just kind of put them on random. So it had been a minute, so
Yeah,
I forgot about Reality Asylum, and I was like, what is? Oh yeah, I forgot. It just hit so weird. And I was like, because I was working,
yeah,
I listened to a lot of these at work, so I'll be working, and then it came on, and I'm like, what the? Oh yeah, Crass. Never mind. It's just
yeah,
Crass.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
love that.
I
It's
mean,
just crass. Yeah, yeah, it is just crass. But that's what's amazing about crass because while other people were drilling over the Sex Pistols and those guys, a lot of, I wish I could say a lot of us back then, but I'm only 33, so I actually can't even say that.
yeah, yeah,
Uh,
Yeah, back then,
It,
back in 2005. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Back in 2005, when everybody was
Yeah.
just discovering the Ramones and everything,
Yeah, yeah.
I would say that I discovered Crass when Margaret Thatcher actually died.
Oh,
Because
okay.
yeah, so I'm half Scottish, and
Uh-huh.
I I grew up with everybody around me hated her. But when you're a
Yeah.
youngster, you didn't really understand it. So when she died, I was like, oh, okay, I know a bit about her. I know she was a cunt. We aren't editing that out because it's an okay word, just not in America.
That's
And
okay.
I
Right.
just
It doesn't bother
I went
me. I'm a grown up. It's
Yeah,
cool.
we're doing punk. It's okay. Yeah, we're fine. We're all good.
and I just remembered I was listening, like I just went on this rampage of punk bands that had this anti like fascist and a lot of anarchist uh, ideology because I was in my youth called a communist because I'm very in Denmark you're either blue, which is conservative, or you're red, and I'm very red. And I
Yeah.
remember I listened to sheep farming. Oh wait, no wait, yeah, sheep
Yeah,
farming
see,
over the Falklands.
yeah, the
I just went
Falklands, yeah.
like, fuck yeah. And
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was just the moment I fell in love with craft. And I think that like for a lot of my own youth, as yours, I'm like 20s and stuff like that, they do become such a pillar because they give you
Yes.
something else. They were not as scared to like take some artsy music and make it into something avant-garde. They didn't like
Yeah.
restrict themselves to one sound inside of punk. They they were just everywhere. And as you
Yeah.
said, like some songs are incredibly hard to listen to. But then
Right.
they have songs where you're like, is this even the same band? Like where they're
Yeah.
just singing completely normal. That's
Right.
so fascinating to me.
Yeah, totally. Totally. And I think the militant nature of them, not just militant politically, but they're militantly obedient to their message.
Yeah.
Like they won't soften anything. If the message is, you know, um, if the message is hard to hear, they'll make it hard to hear and they won't bend it. There's a militant militant loyalty to expression. Obviously, the militant political stuff I'll get into in a second, but that militant like individualism, if you don't like it, fuck off and don't listen to it. I'm not making it for you. There's
Hmm.
something valuable to that.
Yeah.
Um, and for the political side, I mean, like, Crass came to me, geez, mid 20s. This was really like early 20s. Trump had just gotten
Hmm.
into office, and I was protesting. I've been protesting Trump since before he was president. But I am sort of a uh, son of a white liberal town, where as progressive as you get is Obama or Bernie. And this was someone who Crass at the time was the voice I needed that said, why not do it yourself? Why do you need to vote to
Hmm.
ask for your rights? Why not just take them? Why are you giving them up? Why do you need to, why do you assume you have to obey as opposed to assume you don't have to obey and make them force you to obey? And I think it did radicalize me in this place, in this fucking country where politics is a football game. And
Yeah.
you hand over a degree of control on either side, on both sides. It's like wrestling,
Yeah, I was gonna
like
say it's
you're,
like WWE. A lot of it is a lot like WWE with it's very performative now, and I'm just like, okay, if we don't see this, y'all didn't spend your afternoons watching wrestlings on Saturday.
yeah, yeah, dude. It's like watching. I just was at WrestleMania last week. I'm a huge wrestling fan, so
Yeah.
it's like if you're watching, CM Punk versus Roman Reigns. You have the heel and the face,
Hmm.
and the good guy and the bad guy. And if you're in the stands and you paid $1,000 for a ticket, and you think that the good guy is gonna win, and suddenly you're gonna get your money back, and you're gonna have cheaper concessions, and you're gonna have, control over what happens in the storyline. That's how our politics feel here.
Yeah.
Like, the good guy's gonna win, and so what? They're gonna give you any of your power back? No, that's not how it works. Like, start burning down the arena. You know what I mean? Like that's what
Yeah.
Crass was to me. It was like you're still participating in the performance. You know what I mean? You're still a spectator. Stop spectating your life and start taking autonomy in it, you
Yeah.
know?
No, I got you. Yeah, yeah, and just yeah, like that thing last night at the White House Correspondents' Center. I'm just like, really? No one? Really? No one?
Yeah.
False flag, false flag, false flag.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
And
mean,
honestly,
if
I don't go ahead. Go ahead.
if you go out and say afterwards, yeah, this is exactly why we need a new ballroom, so
That was
this shit doesn't happen.
I
That
was
is
like
exactly, yeah.
I would have bought it if he wouldn't have gone out and done that. I would have been like, okay, well maybe legit something happened. And then he's like, this is why we need a ballroom, and I'm all like, oh,
Jesus.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. If I could do it. So the right
Yeah,
wing
but
in this country wins because they know how to change the story over a long period of time. They did it with the Civil
hmm
War. They did it with George Floyd. They did it with
hmm
COVID, where everyone was unified on this thing. And suddenly, years later, we're looking back on COVID shutdowns and as if it was a mistake. We're looking back on the George Floyd uprising as if it was a riot that took control and destroyed our nation. That's not what it was. But like the right wing in this country, they take a lie, a small lie, and they change over the course of years and decades. They change the story and then they have dominated the story and they've captured it. With this false flag thing, like I don't even care if I know if it's a false flag. I'm gonna go ahead and say it, and I'm gonna lie about it, and I'm gonna lie about it for 10 years because the right wing has proven shit. All we gotta if we gotta lie to get power, then that's what we're gonna do, and we're gonna lie to say you shouldn't trust these people. I don't really care if it's true. Truth doesn't matter anymore.
Mhm.
Now I'm trying to take power away from billionaires. That's what I care about.
hmm
You know, I could
Yeah.
sleep at night knowing. Anyway, that was my little fucking anarcho tangent. I'm sorry about that.
I've had one too. That's perfectly normal. That is what this
Good.
podcast is for.
Yeah.
Just
On a
calling
on
out
a
the administration.
on a podcast for a
Yeah.
punk rock website? What? No.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know.
If your record didn't show it, the Crass choice sure as hell did.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, I mean, and it comes out on the record, I think, too, because Crass has a way of asking questions that make you think, not
Mm,
telling you what to think. And like if you know what you're doing well enough, you should be able to guide people toward the right questions, not the right answers. And we
yeah.
try to do that on our album.
Mhm.
Crass says, "Do they owe us a living?" I don't know. Maybe they say, of course they do, but they ask the question and you have to think about it, you know? And so I try to take the same framework. Who's going to stop us? You know, ICE. We're going to go out and I'm going to stop them. They come up asking who's going to stop us, who's going to keep us from doing this stuff. But who's going to stop us from opposing them? Who's going to stop you? When's the last time you weren't being sold something? I don't have any answers. I just want you to think about it. And that's all stealing from Crass's philosophy.
I just think it was an excellent choice. But again, that's
Agreed.
very selfish reasoning.
Yeah, they're so good, dude. They're so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, they are amazing.
All right. So your recent album was Ceremony, Reware Park. I'd heard a few Ceremony songs here and there, but hearing it all together in context, oh, this is such a good fucking record.
Oh, is it your first time hearing it?
All the way through, yeah. Like from this is my first time listening. I've heard songs here and there from Ceremony,
So good.
and oh fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, my bassist Dylan introduced me to them a couple years back, and I had for some reason I just resisted California punk. Maybe it's because I moved to California and I have an authority problem. I need to be different and stand out. So I moved to the California punk scene, and I
Mhm.
was like, fuck all you. And it's like, well, why are you here? But anyway, um, this was the first California punk album that I listened to where I was like, whoa, I understand. I get it. I get
Yeah.
it. This is the circle pit. This is the circle pit in a record. Like this is what it sounds like. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah, they have amazing energy on the album. That was
yeah.
insane. I it kept it kept me wondering what they'd be like live
Uh-huh.
because you just wanted to get up and start like, I don't know, kicking someone in the face.
Yeah.
You just
Yeah,
you just felt the music
totally.
or the sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think their live dynamic is so fundamental to who they are as a band, and that's sort of
Mm,
what lands with me is when you see a ceremony show, you can
hmm
be holding the microphone all night. You could be on stage with them. It's like the whole crowd, this idea of a divide between the artist and the crowd goes away. And
mm,
it's like insane. It's the most ridiculous vibe I've ever seen at a show where everyone knows that anything goes. And um, that connects with me as a front man and just telling people these are the rules of engagement, come and take it. Come get it. You're welcome to come on this stage. This is your stage. You paid for it. That energy.
yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. There wouldn't be a show if it weren't for you.
Yeah. And this idea that, oh,
Yeah.
you paid to see me, it's like you're paying to keep this machine going. And like,
Mm,
you're my employer and I'm your employee. So you tell me what to do. I owe you a performance. And if you want to get up on this motherfucking stage and you want to sing the songs, let's
hmm
go for it. This is your moment, not mine, you know.
Yeah.
Um, uh,
And it's so funny because everybody just expects the band itself to create the atmosphere. But for me personally, having been to enough shows, I always think it's the fans and the crowd that creates the
yeah.
atmosphere because the band feeds off it. They feed
Yeah.
off like the vibes and like, if people are digging it. So yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I think a good band does. Because obviously the audience is in control, The audience is in complete control. And if you're not a good band or a good front man, you might take that as an ego hit. Um,
hmm
you're doing so good, you wore your coolest stuff, and they think you're fucking corny.
hmm
That
Yeah.
communicates your powerlessness. You have to accept a degree of powerlessness to be a good front man. And I love that about ceremony where they just give the power over to them and whatever the crowd wants to do, they just give permission. Go for it. Do it. Get up here, get up on this stage, sing the lyrics, take the microphone, jump on my back. I don't give a fuck. You know,
Yeah.
no ego. A front man with no ego. What's that? Um,
That's a goal.
that's the
That is
goal.
the goal, actually.
Yeah, I'm not achieving it very well, but I'm aspiring to for sure.
Yeah,
It's
oh, go ahead, Karina,
yeah.
sorry.
No, 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 no. You just take it.
It reminded me of a lot of the early SST and like Frontier Records punk rock albums, like from the
Mhm.
Adolescents and the Circle Jerks. Like
Yeah.
it felt like in Black Flag, it felt like that, and I loved it for those reasons. I was also even from being from California. I'm in Orange County. I was very like hesitant. I'm very hesitant to like new punk because not a lot of it's been great. But
Yeah.
since working here with Dying Scene, I that's been smashed in like the last year and a half because I just wasn't looking at the right places. And
Yeah.
so I like this because people will it forces me to have to listen to bands that I wouldn't listen to on my own. So that's why
hmm
another reason why I love doing this podcast is talking to people because people are awesome. But most people that I've come across are awesome. But
Yeah.
um, but like it gives me the chance to listen to records that I wouldn't normally pick up on my own, or would maybe not pick up on a Spotify or on my Apple or Music or whatever. Just wouldn't come up naturally, if you will, because of the stupid algorithm.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. Another one about ceremony that I think is so prescient is like in California, so much of what dominates is what's really like tough. Like tough guys
Mm.
run shit and
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
tough bands and all this stuff. And what I like about ceremony is they're writing poetry. Ross, the front man, is writing poetry and putting it to music. And you go to see their live show. These are clearly artists. These are not like fist fighters. And it just is a nice reminder, like artists rule art.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I artists rule art. You know, if we're doing a fist fight, you'll kick my ass. But come on, we're doing art here. Let's relax.
I just want to say thank you because I've never heard them
Oh, they're
before.
great. They're
Yeah.
They're
great.
amazing.
Yeah. Go look up their live performance. The first time I ever heard or saw them was live. And I was in a room of
Oh,
like 100 people and like the room went from silent. It was
yeah.
like everyone was so quiet and Ross, the front man, was just like singing some poetry about poppy seeds or something. And then
Fucking
the
poppy seeds.
yeah, the drum beats from Sick, the first song on Random Park starts.
Mm,
And like before the bass, before the guitar, before even the second phrase of this hit, the whole room was
yeah.
upside down. My bassist got punched in the face. People were on the stage fighting for the microphone. It was like when there's chaos and it's loud, it's scary. But when there's chaos and it's almost silent, it almost feels like you're in a fight, like a riot or a bar
Yeah.
fight. It's like a bomb's gonna go off, you know? And that's how Ceremony felt. And I was like, what is this concert? This is so nuts. You know, it's so good. You got to check it out. Watch their live stuff. It's fucking amazing.
Oh yeah, they have I can see that they have a live set from Coachella. We're watching that. Not now,
Yeah.
not now. I just want to tell our audience
Yeah.
I'm very aware that we have a guest. I'm not watching
I'm
anything
not.
right now.
I'm curious how that one is. Yeah, I don't know. Watch them at Sound and Fury. Go watch them open Sound and Fury with Into the Wayside and Sick. It's like you'll see what I'm talking about. Everyone's standing
Okay.
still, the drums hit, and everyone just has permission to be a caveman. There's just like fucking beers flying and people flying and legs in the air and on the stage. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's like everyone hit the chaos button in Kingsman.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
You know, like in Kingsman, you press the
Yeah.
button and everyone is like starts killing each other with like, you know, whatever they can find. That's how
Yeah.
ceremony, they have that power. I want that power.
You need to study them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Awesome. You said you had one honorable mention of idols for Ultramono.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that was kind of an important band for the band for your band for
Well,
Gottlieb?
yeah. Well, the guys are gonna hate that I'm talking about idols, but because I love the sound of that band. I just think that sound is so good, and I've learned so much from their sound. And I picked their worst album to talk about because it was the first album that I heard from them. And sonically, I was so connected to it. I was just so encapsulated by the sound of Ultramono. Did you listen to it?
Yeah, yeah, I give it a
Yeah.
listen.
Yeah, it has an amazing sound. It's really cool
Mm.
sounding. But every time I heard it, I hated it a little more and more, you know, because I was captured by their sound. I was like, this
Mm.
is a cool punk sound I've never heard before. This is incredible. And I kept hearing their words and I was like, these lyrics are like really like thoughtless, you know, or just thrown away. And uh it just every time I heard it, it just got almost dumber and dumber, and it became a cautionary tale for me. I don't mean to talk shit about my favorite band, but
Mm.
it became a cautionary tale where I was like, if I'm gonna write a record, I need to have something to say. And if I have
Yeah.
nothing to say, I need to put down the microphone because
Yeah.
Mm.
I'm not gonna disservice people by acting like I have something to say
No.
and then making it up and acting like, you know, and then being a dick when people call me out on it, you know. That just became the cautionary tale for me. So I want to talk about it, you know, because I think that
Mm.
if you don't have anything to say in punk rock, politely step back into the audience and come back when you have something to say. It's just so important to our philosophy as a band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just generally like so pop punk. Just generally punk is such a huge community that when somebody takes a hit, everyone feels it, right? And
Mm-hmm.
and when you're a band like Idols that have been heavy in the activism, like mostly
Mm.
in the English with the reform and all this stuff, it's you want them to say something and you need
Yes.
them to say something. And I remember that Bob Villain, I don't know if you know that band.
Yeah, Bob is a friend of mine.
Oh, I fucking love Bob Villain.
He's
They're
great.
amazing. You
Yeah.
guys, yeah. Um, yeah, because they put their name to
Hmm.
their that just took me off. What am I saying? Yeah, they put their name to this dance and they're not afraid to back down.
One of the tracks on our record is called Dogs Part One.
Yeah.
The parentheses is joy to distract from resistance.
Hmm.
Idol's second record is called Joy as an Act of Resistance. And our title is sort of a hit at the idea that you can just go buy an album and it will somehow stop a genocide. Or I can go
Mm.
buy an album and the guy across my street who's getting taken by ICE is not going to be taken. You know, joy to
Yeah.
distract from resistance is how I see it. It's like this opposition shit is not fun. It's scary. You know, I've had been tear
Yeah.
gas, guns pointed in our faces. That's the fight. You know what I
No.
mean? So
Take it
I
to
don't
the streets, you know?
take it to the, yeah, put your money where your mouth is. Like,
Do you feel like there is like a certain sound or a through line or something that kind of ties all these records together?
yeah, definitely truth to power. Punching up, punching up and not saying anything unless you have something to say.
Hmm.
It's so clear that the good half of Black Rain is incredibly urgent about environmentalism, the Iraq War. Thank You, Happy Birthday is this like raw explosion of words that he needed to get out. This raw performance is he had to get out. Crass, I don't think they could have stopped talking if they wanted to. They're like me. And Ron Art Park, same thing. It's this emotional catharsis. And I think that's what's so prescient is pick up the mic when you have something to say. And all of these things desperately needed to say it. Desperately
Yeah.
needed to say it. So desperately raw and honest.
So what did your parents listen to when you were growing up?
Yeah, bro, my dad and my mom have very good music taste. My mom was like new wave, like The Police,
Fuck yeah.
U2, Sting, um, I mean, my mom liked like Bare Naked Ladies. That's just they just captured the mom demographic.
Yeah,
Every
they
mom
still
loves
do.
Bare Naked. They still do. I listened to him yesterday. I can't deny it. And my dad, he has this huge record collection, but it was like the Beatles and
Mm.
um like Elvis and things like that. But he also liked Billy Idol and Slade and Cheap Trick and like, when I would hear Billy Idol and be like, "What is this genre?" He would say
Oh
punk,
yeah.
and like he's a nerdy professor, doctor guy, and I'm like, "Oh, we're punk, Dad," and you know,
And,
Billy
and
Idol,
Dad
like,
was like, "Yeah, we
yeah,
are."
yeah, like in the subdivision or whatever, listening to Billy Idol, like Rebel Yell, like White Wedding, like yeah, something. I know, I like it. I just don't know why, you know.
It's because it's catchy. I think everybody likes Billy Idol because it's not meant as degrading. It's just easy listening to, and it's so
Yeah,
catchy.
It is.
yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, and I honestly, I love I actually call Billy Idol my glam rock from the 80s because
Yeah.
I just it's I put it on when I want to feel glamorous because I know the
Yeah.
songs in and out. I don't have
Yeah,
to.
totally. Totally. I saw a funny interview. I used to watch the live storytellers of Billy Idol when I was a kid. Storytellers, do you guys know what storytellers
Yeah,
is?
yeah, yeah. I watch that Tom
Um,
Waits one a lot.
like yes, it's like an unplugged thing, and I love Billy Idol because he's so him. Um, he was on stage. He's like, I was going to the shows and I was seeing and hanging out with bands like Susie and the Banshees and Sex Pistols and Crass and them, and they were all upset about like the police and being poor. And I was like, but where's the sex? Why aren't we talking about sex? And it
Yeah.
was like, Billy, I love that you just kind of didn't get it. I love that you're just like, well, I'm mad about getting laid. And it's like, all right, man, cool. Go off, Queen. That's sick. He just went for it. Like, you so didn't
Yeah.
get it. Like, you so
Oh,
didn't get it, but you
No.
so love punk. And he just made it work. I fucking love that.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just enjoyed that one because there was some naivety to it, and I'm a very
Yeah.
naive person. I've been told this by everyone that's ever met me. So
Oh,
it's just
really?
like oh yeah, I could like I mirrored Billy Idol there. I was like, oh, I think he knows, but I think he's trying to, like lift people up in the room, so it
Yeah.
wasn't so
Yeah.
heavy all the time.
Yeah, because you listen
Yeah.
He's
to
such a funny
the
character.
yeah, because you listen
No,
to
I'm finished.
Generation X,
Mm.
and there's a big difference in lyrics from
Yeah.
Gen
Oh
X,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Generation X to Billy Idol. Well, till you get to that
Oh
last
yeah.
Generation X album, and then that's when it starts. I just watched a documentary. He said, yeah, the last Generation X album is essentially just the first solo Billy Idol
Yeah.
album.
Yeah, I'd love it. He's like Randy Savage to me. Like he's just like or Ric
That's
Flair.
the
He's just
best way
like
to describe him. Oh my
he's
gosh, we're
just
not
such
wrong.
he's something about him is just like dude, everything comes back to wrestling for me. If I can't translate it to wrestling, I don't understand it. If
That's
I can and
the that's the perfect way to describe Billy Idol.
yeah, he's like Ric Flair or something. Like he's so sick.
Thank you for listening to Four Records. Please check us out on Instagram at Four Records Podcast or email us at fourrecordspodcast@gmail.com. And as always, please keep up with your favorite bands at dyingscene.com.